And let's see. We're up on everything. Gotcha. Up on here. Up on there. Good there. You need to be fixed again. Should be good. Up, up, up. Let me make sure I actually can be heard this time. And then testing the, I mean, not move that one up. Testing the audio. How's this? Well, if I actually played this sound. There we go. Feed the trolls with that one. Okay, it seems that we are up and running. Although I am a little bit tired from last night. Good evening and welcome to the Rhode Island Atheists podcast. Episode, my notes say 5, although I kind of thought that we had done more of these. Obviously, today, well, we are not necessarily believers, Christians, things like that. It is Easter, the day where Jesus rose from the grave. So now we celebrate a magical bunny hiding eggs for the children to find that have chocolate in them. Very, very strange connection there. I suppose Eddie Izzard who did the bit. Well, I don't think the Easter Bunny was there at the crucifixion. Are you gonna bury Jesus on in our burrows? But anyway, no, where supposedly Jesus rose from the dead, so on and so forth, but really it was inspired by the pagan holiday for spring and fertility. And so, like other holidays, like Christmas, the Christians did a little marketing. They did a clever little move to help transition people, the societies they were in, to their religion. And they just co opted the popular pagan festivals at the time and then uh, sort of forcibly aligned them with their own supposedly, you know, the dates of the rising of their savior, so on and so forth. Zombie Jesus giving chocolate eggs. True. Hello, beautiful Rhode Island. How are you doing today? Today, we have a wonderful show for you today. We are going to interview Brian Cardoza, who is one of the officers of Rhode Island Atheists, and I'm going to give him the role. We're going to get that started. I'm going to move him to. Hi, Brian.
Hey, what's up, Jonathan?
Not much. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Yeah. So,
My
as
video up.
what'd you say? Oh yeah,
Nothing.
get the
Go on.
video up. Yeah, sure. Awesome. And let me make sure that people can see you. I triple checked this time after the 50 times before that people can
All right.
actually hear you. Because
Oh,
last time I
awesome.
did this, I managed to mess that. If I
I
click
feel
the
you.
right scene. And then I cannot read that, but thank you, undesirable squadron. If you are not a spam bot, if you are a spam bot, I take back my thank you. They wrote something in another language I don't understand. Now, as we all know, the Day of Reason ceremony for this year is on May 6th, and we got the wonderful Secretary of State Greg Amore to recognize that for us. And so, how many Day of Reason ceremonies have we had at the State House thus far? Because I've been here for the two.
We've had 3. This will actually be the 3rd.
Awesome. And obviously, you've been in the organization longer than me. You've been an officer there for a while, helping run things. What has that experience been like for you?
Um, Sometimes stressful, but mostly rewarding. So, in the things that we've done, I think highlighting education and equality has been the biggest highlights I think that I've taken out of this. Um, just being visible and just giving voice to atheism, I guess, and showing people that we just believe differently.
Yeah.
We're no different than everybody else, you know?
And it is funny how, supposedly we're the godless ones, we're the ones without virtue. And yet, it always seems that when we're fighting the fight for equality, our opponents and the people fighting against us are often the Christians, who are supposedly, from their worldview, should see everyone as equals, right?
Yes, yes. I think the sophistry that goes along with the Christians of today are different than they were in the past. So I think when society was a lot more brutal, the Christians gave voice to reason and voice to equity. I think today that's kind of shifted where it's the rational people who are rational about the way that a society should be, and that fortunately or unfortunately also usually makes somebody to lose their belief in the divine or the supernatural.
Yeah.
I think what ended up happening was the shift. We have an equitable society, and I think there has to be a balance. And I think the Christians of today, the majority, not all, have unfortunately gone over to the other side, where they're trying to, preserve a world that, didn't have those things, didn't have the equality, you know.
Right.
Yeah,
Like,
I just think that they're trying to preserve that. That's what conservatism is now.
yeah,
It's
it's like
conserving a past of values that we no longer hold, you
R-
know.
right, and the conserving what they're trying to conserve is like traditional values that don't necessarily include people who aren't just like them, a little bit
Yeah.
exclusive to other people. I mean, there are some churches who, while maybe not following their own gospels word for word, end up being a little smarter and a little bit cooler, in my opinion, because
Yeah.
they're more interested in getting more people to like them or to join them or to think that they're like nice people, welcoming people. So they kind of throw off the fundamentalists do those values that the fundamentalists have, where they exclude other people or tell other
Yeah.
people they're wrong for living their lives in certain ways that don't really hurt anyone.
Well, this is kind of what you could see, the duality in just the biblical scripture. I mean, in the same passages, you can have, Jesus wanting to, include everyone in his crusade for heaven. And in the same sense, you can see him uninclude the non-believers. He
Yeah.
says, like, I'm here to bring a sword. I'm here to turn mother against daughter, you know, son against father. Um, I think they represent the duality of the Bible, and the duality of religion in general, where you can use the book for, to
Anything.
represent good
Yeah.
things, back in the 1800s, you had people who were using the Bible to who are pro-abolition, and you had people using the Bible to oppose abolition. You know, I think we see that now too, and I'm pretty sure it's always been that way, but I think it's kind of highlighted to the extreme now because we have uh Christians who are doing good, who are doing really, really good, beyond the bare necessities. And then you have other Christians who are trying to take rights away
Right.
and actively hurt people, and they're on the other extreme side of things. And I think that, like, when we had a world that wasn't, you know, as I guess physically healthy, not like mentally healthy or like,
Yeah.
civically healthy, but when we had people who were healthy back then, um, I lost my thought. People who were healthy back then could I just lost my thought. Forget about it.
No,
Move
that's
on.
okay. It's fine. Uh, but you had mentioned previously to me you have a particular upbringing and issue with
Oh yeah,
religion, and you
yeah.
have family members that you have conversations with about it. And talk us through your personal, I guess, atheism journey.
Oh, sure, sure, sure. Nice save, Jonathan. Um, so I was raised a Jehovah's Witness. For the first few years of my life, I was a Catholic. I'm Portuguese,
Yeah.
and my family is Catholic. My grandmother had switched over to the Jehovah's Witnesses, and that was way back when you could smoke cigarettes. You could, I'm not saying that they were
Inside,
progressive in any
or
way,
you
shape,
or
or
you mean in
form.
their religion?
Yes, yes,
Oh,
you can never smoke in the kingdom halls, but you could smoke outside the kingdom halls, and they wouldn't disfellowship you for smoking cigarettes
how did she go
or
from being Catholic to being Jehovah's Witness?
so I don't know the story. I
Yeah,
was never really that curious about it, and
gotcha.
that part. So as a Jehovah's Witness, you don't really talk about other religions in any kind of curious sense. You just shun them. They are
Right.
wrong. They're not the right ones, and they're a construct of Satan, and they're worshiping false gods, and it makes Jehovah mad. But anyway, so we were raised. So when my grandmother switched to being a Jehovah's Witness, she had 6 children who also switched.
Yeah,
I was my mother was younger when I was born, so she was still living with my grandmother at the time
yeah.
before my parents got married, and they went to the Kingdom Hall. So all of my grandmother's children went to the Kingdom Hall. And my mother was really faithful, like fundamentally faithful. And I had a rigid, rigid childhood where I don't know how much you know about Jehovah's Witnesses, but we weren't allowed to celebrate birthdays, Christmas,
Jeez.
holidays, or like anything that venerated anything but Jehovah.
Gotcha.
Anything that was Christ specific. So you have to remember, Jehovah's Witnesses are what you called Arian Christians. They believe that Christ is the Son of God. He is just not God. He is a different entity. It's not a
Okay.
part of God. It's not like the Trinity,
Yeah,
where
exactly.
there is a Father, a Son, a Holy Spirit, and they're one co-equal one. Jehovah, who is God, and Jesus are two separate entities. They've always been separate.
Yeah.
Um, Things like Satan do exist, but there is no hell. There's an Armageddon where the whole world is destroyed, and the people who were Jehovah's Witnesses will be resurrected after this battle, or this so it's not even a battle. It was supposed to. So the Bible says it's a battle between God and Satan. And Satan will reign for 1,000 years
Only a
after this.
thousand? Jeez. Slacking.
Yes, yeah. And they're very specific with their numbers, which is just, it's kind of funny. But anyway, so Satan will reign for 1,000 years. In that time, I guess Jesus will resurrect people. He will also marry 144,000 of his devoutest. Uh,
Gotta get in that select group, huh?
Yes, it's a very select group, a very select number, so it's only 144,000. Those are the anointed. So at the Kingdom Hall, you knew who the anointed were. Like you knew one of two people, and there's no vetting. I guess people have just known from when they were born that they would be one of the 144,000. Um, People have told other people that they are one of the 144,000. Or I don't see why you couldn't just claim that you were one of the
And
144,000.
I'm sorry,
You
did you
know?
say these were the 144,000 that Jesus was going to marry, or was that what you said?
Correct, correct. That is
So
was
is this just women, or is this
so symbolically, nope, it's a symbolic marriage to the soul, not
okay, so it's not gay
to
if you're a
the
guy. It's not gay if it's
yeah.
symbolic.
I guess
Okay,
it would
gotcha.
still be, right?
Yeah. All right, I understood. I'm
Yeah.
tracking.
I guess souls, it's kind of funny. So if we were like born in this perfect, realm of like God's image and we were who we are till the end of time, I guess Jesus marrying one of our souls would make him gay because
True.
you would remain a man, like when you go up to heaven or even after Armageddon, you're resurrected as the person that you are today, not as, an androgynous kind of, asexual being, you're
Yeah.
either a man or a woman because you're the person that you are today. Anyways, yeah. So that's what the Jehovah's Witnesses believe. So, back to what I was saying. So, throughout school, I was only allowed to hang out with people from the Kingdom Hall. It could be people from other congregations. Like if I met a friend at an assembly, my mother would let me spend the weekend at their house.
Okay.
Um, but the friends that I had were specifically Jehovah's Witnesses, you know, and a
What
lot
were
of the
those people
friends.
like?
So a lot of them were wicked cool and couldn't stand it.
Yeah.
And we had some good times. We both hated the religion, and couldn't wait to get out of it.
Yeah.
All of us. So I had probably four friends that I was really close to. Well, I'm still close with them today. At 50 years old, I'm still close to those people.
Yeah.
Um, we kind of trauma bonded with our religious upbringings.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it's a hard um it's a hard thing to make other people understand when unless they went through it. So Jehovah's Witnesses, you have a rigid schedule where you go to a Bible study on Tuesdays. You go to a Bible study on Thursdays, and then you have a Kingdom Hall meeting on Sundays. So for 3 days a week. Oh, and then there's service, which is the door knocking.
Right.
And I guess sending emails and stuff is something that happens now, but that wasn't anything that we did when we were kids. We
Right.
would
Yeah.
write letters and we would go out in service, which was dedicating like 10 hours a week to doing service work, which was knocking on doors, taking territories, and passing out
Taking
flyers and
territory.
making book subscriptions, because after all, the Jehovah's Witnesses are a printing company, if not anything else.
That's funny.
That's what sustains a lot of their stuff is the literature that they provide. Stuff like Chick tracts. I don't know if you're familiar with those.
Nope. My
So
experience with Jehovah's Witnesses is I had one guy knock on my door once. I answered it shirtless, and he looked at me weird. That was funny.
yeah, so getting them, making them uncomfortable is hilarious. So I've invited them into my house and had like hour-long debates with them.
Yeah.
They don't go to my house anymore. I
Right.
just I don't know if it's because they think I'm satanic or if they think that I just talk too much, and they don't
Exactly.
have time to wait. Either way, it keeps them away. So
Nice.
that's cool. But yeah, I'll um So the people that I used to hang out with, we all listened to the same type of music, which was death metal, and we listened to like Venom and Slayer.
Nice.
And you got to understand that this was during the Satanic Panic, you know,
Right.
of 1980s and early 1990s, and we were just really, really rebellious about that. We hated going to the Kingdom Hall,
Yeah.
like really, really hated. I couldn't wait to leave. Um, my family stayed in for a little while. My sister ended up becoming baptized. Me and my brother did not. My mother ended up. My parents got divorced, so my mother got fellowshipped for the divorce. Um,
Fellowshipped for
that's
the
another thing.
divorce?
So yeah, you're not supposed to. So my father was not a Jehovah's Witness,
Yeah.
but never was. Uh, my mother was a baptized Jehovah's Witness, which once you're baptized, you have obligations to the organization. I don't even want to call it a church. Um, I view it as just a bigger cult.
Right.
They use the same tactics, they have the same goals, and most of it's just nuts.
Are they like discount
Um,
Scientology basically?
um, no, so they're not on that level. So the
Right.
stuff that they use is from the Bible, but it's very specific interpretations, like what they've had Armageddon predictions,
Yeah.
where the end is nigh and it'll happen on June 4th, 1975, or happen on, they've made several predictions and none of which have actually panned out, obviously. But they come up with these dates because they're actually finding data within the Bible and just making it.
Yeah.
And trying to come up with very specific dates for these passages that they use, and it's just, so they're not in the line of like Scientology. Like if you ever read the New World Translation, which is the Jehovah's Witness Bible, it mirrors the King James Bible, like almost word for word.
Right.
It's the same flavor, the same scriptures, the same everything from the New Testament to the Old Testament. All of it is the same. But you got to remember, the first Jehovah's Witnesses thought that they were Bible scholars. They were, the whole religion came out of Bible scholars, people who were Protestants. Fun little fact: it was also born in the same place as Mormonism and the Seventh Day Advents. Same place in the burned out district of New York,
Yeah.
where these religions have like kind of come from. It's very specific. They were really forward thinking and really progressive at the time. A lot of them were abolitionists. Um, but you have people with big ideas that gained a following, went out. So I think the Mennonites were from the burned out district, the Quakers and the Shakers. I know that the Mennonites were. I'm not really sure about the Shakers. But
The
yeah,
Quakers, the
Mormons,
Shakers, the candlestick makers. Anyway, go on. Sorry.
that's funny. Yeah, but I couldn't wait to get out of the Jehovah's Witnesses. And when I finally did, I don't know, I just kind of it was a weight lifted off my shoulder, just not having to be in that space. And you've got to remember, I didn't believe for the majority of it.
Yeah.
I can think back to when I was like maybe 6 to 7. It explained stuff to me, but I think it was more of an identity than it was a belief system. I don't think I was old enough to have
Right.
a
Most people are
thought
at that age. Yeah.
of, you know. But when I was around 10, though, I actually did start questioning it, start testing it,
Yeah.
and I just kind of stopped believing it.
Yeah.
I just stopped believing it, and I don't know if it was my very specific circumstance where I was made to, it was not, I wouldn't call it torture, but it was definitely traumatic, where instead of being a kid, I was a kid who was, humiliated by having to go door to door and see friends of mine,
Right.
and I'm doing trying to sell them things I did not think were viable,
Right.
you know,
Exactly. You didn't really
and
believe
just
them.
kind of, yeah, and just kind of lie to them about things that I knew weren't true. And I always had the feeling that the people who were telling me these things also did not believe it. I think
Exactly.
that they were there as it just a thing to do, kind of
Yeah.
like starting an intramural basketball team after school,
It might have been worth
or
more of your
like
time.
it was more of a community than it was a set of beliefs. But the set of beliefs is kind of what was the glue for this community. Not saying, believing in it wasn't really a prerequisite. It was just kind of being there and going through the motions of it.
It's kind
You
of
know,
a motif for religious communities, I guess.
yeah, yeah. Um, so these people that I grew up with that, I had seen, been to cookouts with, gone on vacations with my whole life, when I stopped going, let me tell you, they dropped me like a bad habit.
Right.
I did not speak to a single one of them other than my grandmother.
What about the people who
Ever
also
again.
didn't like going to Kingdom Hall and who had to leave the
Oh,
religion?
those people I still talk to.
Yeah.
But the same thing, I've talked to them my whole life. We've had a pretty funny journey throughout life. I
Yeah.
was in high school with them. Well, I went to, I started from, you know, uh, third grade up until, high school, and then into adulthood through marriages and kids,
Yeah.
and we've gone through this whole journey together. It's kind of cool, but they went through the same experience. I mean, maybe a little different, but the organization did the same thing to them. Just they were never baptized, so their commitment was never taken very, very seriously. And I think that when kids are growing up in that space, until they get baptized, things aren't, and Jehovah's Witnesses take that a lot more seriously than a Protestant who has baptisms at an elementary school.
Yeah.
It's like a celebratory thing rather than a true commitment to a belief, or to embody this principle. Jehovah's Witnesses kind of take that really, really seriously. So I was never disfellowshipped because I was never baptized.
Okay.
I was disassociated, which is different. It's kind of just you're not as pilled as the rest of us. You need to stay away with your dangerous ideas of what if this isn't real,
Yeah.
or like, have you tried saying Bloody Mary in the mirror? It doesn't work. Um,
Wait, what's the deal with Bloody Mary in the mirror? I don't remember.
oh, have you never heard of that?
I might have
So,
heard of it, but I never actually understood what it meant.
so I guess you say Bloody Mary in the mirror 3 times at like the stroke of midnight, and she'll appear. It
Oh.
doesn't work. Just to
I
let you
was
down
so excited. Come
easily.
on. I was gonna try
Yeah,
it.
it doesn't work. So playing with Ouija boards and stuff like that. So I actually had a talking to by the elders in my congregation for
Yeah.
playing with a Ouija board,
Oh God.
and I didn't think it was a big deal.
Yeah.
I know that the girl I was doing it with was moving it, and I was like, "Stop! You've got to let the demons do it." And she was like, "I can. It's moving by itself." I'm like, "Oh," I was like, "It's not moving. Not moving." Even if it was the idiomotor effect, it wasn't. It wasn't. Demons weren't moving it because it only moved when we touched it,
You gotta
and it was
let the
not
demons
touching
do it. Come
it.
on.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And yeah, it's tried to conjure a demon. That never worked either. I
Unfortunate.
had never prayed to Satan, but I mean, I didn't, after not being able to conjure demons and the Ouija board not working and Bloody Mary not coming,
That
I
sealed
kind of
it.
just checked out by that point. You know,
Wait, was
I
Bloody
had
Mary
already
the
known
real Mary or a demon Mary? Wait, which one?
it had to have been a demon Mary.
It's bloody, it's very spooky. I would assume it was.
Yeah, it's not Mary. Jesus' mother Mary. Um, Not saying that wouldn't be cool either, but it's supposed to be, I don't know, a lot of our traditions like that come from like English folklore. So I
Right.
think Mary was probably English. Mary, Queen of Scots, was
Wait,
killed.
Mary was English? What?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I'm just saying a lot of those
Oh.
folklores that we have come from England. You know,
Okay,
we
gotcha.
have a kind of Anglo sense of culture.
Yeah.
So a lot of like we sing London Bridge is burning down. None of us live in London, you know.
Yeah.
London isn't here. And we have, fairy tales about the plague, with anyways, a lot of them are English folklore, so I think Mary might have been English, and that's so. Her being bloody, I was saying, Mary, Queen of Scots, was executed,
Yeah.
so maybe it
Maybe the Queen of Scotland will appear
been her.
behind you. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hope so, man. That would be so cool. So I had a talk with some guy who was telling me that he could get demons in front of him, and I waited and waited and waited. And I don't know if it was the stage fright or the demons just were busy that day, but
Yeah, it
nothing
must have been
came.
busy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so someone in chat said Bloody Mary is based on Elizabeth Bathory, who is rumored to kill young women and bathe in their blood. Interesting.
Yeah, that was the old princess. She I guess had a bunch of people go missing in her kingdom, and she had like killed a few hundred women. That is very, yeah, tell them I said thanks.
Yeah.
That actually makes way more sense.
Thanks, Try Guy Rye. Now, oh, that might be Ryan. So, remind me again, because I've been wondering this whole time. Who's Jehovah again? Is he related to Sephiroth? I'm getting
Jehovah
Final
is
Fantasy vibes here. Who's Jehovah?
no, no. So Jehovah is God,
Okay.
is Yahweh. Um, so the word Jehovah comes from, I think, a mispronunciation because the Hebrew language, from my understanding, doesn't have vowels. So Yahweh, well, Jehovah is how Yahweh was pronounced.
Yeah.
And this is another thing where the people who started the Jehovah's Witnesses got that wrong,
Yeah.
got that interpretation wrong. They got the pronunciation rather.
That's
They
funny.
got that wrong. So yeah, it's this whole religion has been kind of based on a mispronunciation of a Hebrew word
Nice.
that doesn't have vowels,
Some scholars.
So yeah, but that's Jehovah is the creator of everything, and he demands worship. And so
As
you can
usual.
take the things, the Abrahamic God of the Bible is Jehovah. They just don't call him Jehovah. They call him Lord and they call him God. They don't call him by his name.
Right.
Um, but and Jesus Christ is his son.
Yeah.
That he made to be sacrificed by our sins. Another thing that Jehovah's Witnesses believe is that Jesus was put up on a stake
Instead of a
instead of a
cross.
cross.
Interesting.
Yes, so he was, and their whole thing about it is just practicality. Just there weren't a lot of trees in the desert of Judea,
Exactly.
so so why would they waste another piece of wood on a cross when they could have just used the stake? But my the crucifixion that the Romans used as an execution method wasn't because it was practical, it was because it was painful.
Exactly.
I mean, people were hung out by their arms, and there's been tests done and experiments where it's actually people die from respiratory problems. They don't die from, the bleeding
Right.
or, it's a terrible, terrible way to die. But the Romans, we know, crucified people.
Yeah.
That was a manner of their execution style. When somebody was guilty and put to death, that was one of the ways that they would do it.
Right.
Um, as a penalty. So the Jehovah's Witnesses stand by. He was, killed on a stake. And another thing, they don't understand why people walk around with a cross when it was the way that Jesus died. It's a symbol. And they likened it to a parent wearing, having a kid who was killed by someone using a handgun, you wearing a little handgun
Yeah.
on their necklace,
Right.
so that, as a little kid without, the faculties to understand the nuance of human psychology, that explanation made sense to me.
Right.
That and the practicality of using one piece of wood rather than two when you live in the desert without a lot of trees made sense as well.
Right.
It's convincing, but only when you don't know competing information. And I think that's how a lot of religions work.
Of course.
You can convince somebody, that rubbing dirt on things makes it cleaner as long as they don't know anything about soap. You know,
Exactly.
it's just that's just kind of the way it is. When I was after high school, when I went to college, there was a lot of things that I felt like I was learning the world all over again.
Right.
No, my
In college.
education went. Yes, yes. Not saying that my high school times were bad, but I think the Jehovah's Witnesses and the way I graduated when I was 17,
Yeah.
because I won in September. And I don't know if they still do that, but I there was a good portion of my life where the things I was taught, I was told to reject them because they didn't fit into the religious narrative
Yeah.
that I was supposed to be following. And it didn't matter whether the facts were true or not, they went against that grand doctrine. So can't you can't really push against it.
Yeah.
It was totally to be denied and dissolved. And I was really really angry,
Yeah.
learning, I wouldn't say an alternate history, but feeling like I was fed lies to preserve a bigger lie.
Exactly.
I was fed lies to preserve, where my intellect and my, what I know didn't matter because this organization mattered more than me. And I still kind of resent it today. I learn new things every day, but like I wasn't allowed to to study, astronomy, because where is heaven? Whereas once I start seeing how vast things are, once I start learning how planets actually formed, the religious explanation has to dissolve. It can't
Yeah.
stay.
Exactly.
God didn't create these things magically because we have an understanding of the physical forces that made these things. So, that's that was something that I was always angry about when I was younger. Is just, younger, I mean in my early 20s in college,
Right.
learning new things and learning the things that I was taught had propaganda attached to them. They weren't actually true things. They weren't actually practical. They had one purpose, and that was preserving an institution. And that was it.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like we're heading back in that direction too, where we have we have people in Congress trying to pass bills that make kids feel like this is an America centric world. Like you're not going to learn anything that puts America in a bad light, that puts religion in a bad light, especially the Christian religion. You're not going to learn things, it's going to swipe information out from people just to preserve an institution. I think that's horrible.
Yeah, like a decade ago, I remember that maybe it was Texas tried to kick out or change the AP US history class to take
Oh,
out the
yes, yes, I
mistreatment of
remember
the
that.
Native
Yep,
Americans and
yep,
things like that.
yep, yep. What a bunch of twats.
Yeah,
Sorry,
budget
can I
flights.
say that?
Yeah, yeah.
All
Well,
right.
as far as I'm concerned, you can. I don't know if Joe has an objection. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. So around 10, you decide kind of that you don't believe in the religion anymore.
Yep.
Good for you. 2
Yep.
years earlier than me. You beat me. But so I assume from there was maybe some conflict with your mother around that.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
So I around that time I stopped believing the things that my mother said.
Yeah.
Um, I wouldn't say that I mean, she was still my mother and I loved her, but you kind of start seeing the world differently when you stop believing in that. And
Yeah.
it happened at an early enough age that I was still insecure. I was still had a lot of questions. I wasn't really the person I ended up being today. Um,
Yeah.
but I was old enough to remember what that felt like. I remember what that conflict was like. And I remember having to go to the meetings and just sit there and pretend to not only believe but pretend to be excited about it and pretend because
Oh no.
you want to please your parents, you know,
Yeah.
and you want to you know, the elders of the congregation were people I had known my whole life, you know, so that was my whole existence. It was just miserable not having a way out of it,
Yeah.
you know. And when I'd get invited to birthday parties and stuff when I was from kids in school,
Right.
um
In
I was
normal
told
school.
no, I couldn't go. In a
Yeah.
normal school, yeah. Yeah, I was told I couldn't go. I was the kid that had to sit outside the classroom when they had a birthday party, or when they had a Christmas party, or when they had a Halloween. You know, Halloween was another one. So
Gee, I wonder why
Halloween
you started to resent
it
the
was
religion.
yeah,
You'd think if they were smart, they
yeah.
wouldn't do stuff like that.
Uh, You know, it's I always felt like an outcast and I always wanted to just be normal
Yeah.
and not have to have this hassle for a principle I did not hold.
Yeah.
Um, but I was a kid. I was under the jurisdiction of my mother, you know.
Yeah.
I ended up just acting out. Ended up acting out. I just stopped coming home. And I mean, this is when I was like probably 14, 15 years old.
Yeah.
Um, I'd start ending up in Boston,
Yeah.
um, and just kind of getting into trouble, you know. Wouldn't even say I was hanging with the wrong crowd. I just, you know, I had a friend who had a car and we were bored. I'm from a small town, you
Yeah.
know, and I was just bored and could not wait to grow up.
Yeah.
Could not wait to grow up. You know, I had already started working by this point.
Yeah.
Um, being introduced to a lot of other people in settings that weren't controlled. I
Yeah.
mean, like a workplace. When I was like 12, I got a job at a pizza place.
Oh.
Um, and I went from dishwasher to cook pretty quick. And that was it was, so I worked 20 hours a week. I'd work after school for 4 hours from like 5 to 9. You know,
Yeah.
I'd go home. I played soccer through high school, so I'd go home. I'd either go to soccer practice or I'd do my homework, and I'd go to work.
Yeah.
And I'd ride my bike to work because it was right down the road from me. And I did that for years, that and a paper route. But
Nice.
being exposed to new people, you know, not being able, from the time I was probably, you know, earlier than I can even remember, up until I was about 10 or 12 years old. It was a very controlled environment. I was only allowed to hang out with Jehovah's Witnesses. I was only allowed to go to certain things and do certain things, you know.
Yeah.
So getting a job, I not only had my own money, I had, you know, a way to get around and something to do. And I was introduced to the restaurant culture or the chef culture,
Nice.
being, you know, a 12, 13-year-old kid with guys who did a lot of drugs, you know, drank and listened to the same music I liked, you know.
There you go.
And yeah, that was pretty cool. It was always, you know, I can't emphasize enough that I wasn't, you know, other than going to soccer, I wasn't allowed to play guitar. because my mother thought that it was a demonic instrument.
Okay.
I'm not kidding with you. So I wasn't allowed. So I could have an acoustic guitar. I couldn't have an electric guitar. Um, I was still under the control of my mother, but I wasn't. It wasn't a 24-hour surveillance, so I was allowed to go to work and play tapes that I wanted to listen to.
Yeah.
And I think that was the first time in my life I could find like some reprieve. The first job that I actually did have was probably when I was around 11. I worked for one of my uncles,
Huh.
and he worked overnights, cleaning restaurants, and
Yeah.
I would do that. I mean, I'd worked
You
for my
got paid
dad,
under
but my
the
dad,
table when you were 11 for that?
yeah,
Damn.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So that wasn't a big deal back in the 80s. That
Okay.
was that was just a thing that happened. It was kind of like kids didn't have to wear seatbelts,
Right.
when I was younger.
Interesting.
You didn't. It was just I could ride from Wareham, which is my hometown, to New Bedford in the back of my dad's truck while he was doing 80 down the highway. And it was a thing that was kind of frowned upon, but it was not illegal and everybody did it.
That's crazy.
I mean, we go four-wheeling sometimes. Now, this was also so I want to preface this. So my dad was not a Jehovah's Witness,
Yeah.
but my mother was. My father was an alcoholic, liked hard rock, and smoked cigarettes sometimes, drank a lot,
Wow.
and was really not very mentally healthy. My mother
Yeah.
was a devout Jehovah's Witness who also was not very mentally healthy,
Yeah.
So I had this mix where my dad would go out and drink and smoke weed with his friends, and I would be there with him four-wheeling. And then I would have to put on a shirt and tie and go and sit in a rigid, structured institution for hours on end every week with my mother, you
Jeez.
know? So that was kind of like, my mother was very demanding of that too. She believed at the time in Armageddon, in the end times.
And she doesn't
She
believe
believed
that
it.
part anymore?
So it's kind of she's a little flaky and wishy-washy with what she believes now. She believes in this kind of nebulous, ambiguous Christ figure
Yeah.
who is going to save the world and who is all that is good, and he demands that you worship him or he will kill you.
Oh,
And
good.
you have to do
That's the guy you want to work for?
what God says, but God in return will grant you prayers and make you healthy. She does believe that that is partly your responsibility, but she thinks that God's will has a lot of say in what goes on in your life, so
Right.
God not only has a power over, what you do and the struggles that you have, he also has power on how you feel. So her God,
Interesting.
I think, is a God of her imagination where she could go into a church and he will know that she's there. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
like
Stuff
it
like that.
doesn't matter what kind of church, but he will know that she is there, and it is definitely a he,
Oh, okay.
mind you, and he definitely hates all the things that she hates, and
They always do.
as they always do, right? And he is also, wants the best for her, but gives her some responsibility, even though she cannot handle it herself. Um, my mother's kind of changed a lot over the past few years. So my mother was a Bernie Sanders supporter, still pretty spiritual in the spiritual sense, but not a religious hardliner.
Yeah.
Um, After 2016, she's a Trump supporter
That's
and
a
has been
interesting switch.
for the past probably 10 years. She has been a Trump supporter, not just a Trump supporter, but the worst type of Trump supporter.
I got you.
Um, she is really judgmental. Um, she has some really, really bad ideas and some really bad views. And I I blame this on the religion. My mother
Yeah.
has a very type of personality that makes her very susceptible to influence from, for say, a cult leader,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
or some type of religious figure. She believes in God by default, and everything else kind of fits into place in her worldview if it's kind of stuck on that shelf. Like, so if you know, ice could be good, if this is, you know, it can be God's plan because Trump is part of God's plan because Trump is giving liberty to Christians, which is something that God would do. So anything that Trump does, especially if it's done with ice, immigrants have to go. You know, and this is the kind of thing she'll call them illegals.
The
Um,
twisted train of logic
it
on that
it
one, yeah.
yes, and there's you can almost see the through line to it, though. You know, it's not, and I'm not saying it makes sense or it is right in any way. Just I know her enough where I know her thoughts on something because I can see how she's tying these threads together to make them fit. You know,
Yeah.
going after Iran, we hadn't talked about it yet, but I can already tell you that she will probably say it's good to get false prophets out, and it's good to get you know, she might not call them false prophets, but she would call them evil,
Yeah.
you know, evil, and then she'll bring up what Muslims do to women, ignoring the fact that Christians also do the same thing,
Yeah.
you know. um but I know her well enough like that. She is still alive, you know. We talk, we have weekly, I would say.
Okay.
um but yeah, I think her trauma, it was probably way worse than mine, and that is why she's kind of grappled onto a sense of like faith or relief. I think it might be a little bit of narcissism too, where she truly believes that the creator of the universe is in touch with her
Yeah, her personally,
specifically,
right.
you know. um that was also another thing that that used to drive me nuts, was the way that, you know, people can think that the ruler of the universe,
Has
the
time for
creator of
them.
everything,
Yeah.
has time for you.
Yeah.
Like, there are comets, there's a star exploding somewhere right now. You know,
Yeah.
like there are other things that are way more important, you know. And how could, you know, I don't know, it just didn't make any sense.
Right.
But the all that trauma, I think, has led me to where I am now, you know, where I want to advocate for, you know, people in the position of, you know, not having a voice. When I was, you know, young and I was a non-believer, I didn't know that there was a word for it. I didn't know that there was a community.
Yeah.
I didn't know that there were people who thought like me other than the very tight-knit group of friends that I had. You know, I
Gotcha.
didn't know that there was a global thing. I didn't know that there was, you know, people that I could talk to, you know, or people that had questions to answers that I had, you know.
Yeah.
These were questions I couldn't ask of the elders in the you know, in the Kingdom Hall. They just, not only would they probably lie about it, they may not even know the answer, you know.
Yeah.
And just, you know, I just, I want atheism to be not only acknowledged but normalized, where it's not a bad thing, you know. And I feel like people have an idea of atheism where we are, you know, heathens just to be heathens and godless because we're bad, you know. And
Exactly.
I
That's
kind of
yeah,
want
that's
to,
what they think. Yeah.
I want to take the ownership that religious people have over a moral compass, because they don't own it. You
Yeah.
know, a lot of times religion is an exception to being a good person rather than the
A
rule of being
benefit.
a good person. You know,
And often it can be
it's
an obstacle rather than a benefit in a lot of cases, I find.
Yeah, yeah, it is, and I think that, especially in today's world, it's being used as a wedge, or it's being used as a way to exclude rather than a way to show people the right way to be. It's showing it's an excuse for the wrong way to be.
Yeah.
You know, we have a war going on right now, and we have a guy who's in charge of the military who believes that Armageddon is a good thing and
Oh
destroying
yeah.
Muslims is a
Drunk
good
sketh.
thing,
Yeah.
Yeah, he likes that. He's just, I don't know,
Because
he's
they
kind of
had
a
those
dictator.
articles come out about people in the army complaining because higher ups in Hegseth were sending the messages saying that this was so there was a few I think generals if I remember correctly where the article came out said that they were telling their men this is to bring upon like the end of the world so that Jesus can come
Yeah,
save us. I literally read
yeah.
something like this.
How bananas is that?
That's fucking
How
psychopathic,
crazy
yeah.
is that? How crazy is that? We have people in charge of the guns and the weapons who think that this is a fucking holy war.
Exactly. Or not, yeah, partially the Holy War thing, partially that, oh, but this will bring out the end times, and also that's a good thing, kind of a thing. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's
what the
trying to
fuck?
accelerate the end
I
times.
thought it was about getting rid of the
Accelerate the end
nukes. What the
times.
fuck? You know? They can't get their
No,
story
they just
straight, dog.
no, people this is it, and it's inconsistent. It's just, I was just listening to a podcast where this guy was in a cab and he was talking to the cab driver, and the cab driver he had voted for Trump
Yeah.
because he thought that Trump would be the way to accelerate the end of the world, which he's not wrong, and
Yeah,
that is,
yeah. Logical.
it's kind of yeah, and he said he didn't fault him. He's like, I don't know what to say. You are not wrong, sir.
Yeah.
You know, can't really blame you for that. Said he smelled like cigarettes, and
Yeah.
it was a dirty cab in Chicago. But but
Yeah.
but yeah, it's we have some real fucking nuts, man.
We got some nuts.
We have we have the Florida I don't know if it was the Surgeon General had made some vaccines illegal
I
or not
remember
illegal.
seeing some of these things.
They made them not. So you can go to school and not have to have your kids
Okay,
vaccinated.
not mandated. Gotcha.
Yeah, and there are a lot of anti-vax parents that aren't going to do that. We've done some real miracles curing, some of these
Measles. Yeah.
diseases, that had done a number and killed thousands of people, and now we almost had it eradicated until somebody just had a bright idea and it came back,
Yep.
you know. And we
They always think
have,
they're smarter than everyone else, and then they all the rest of us have to suffer the death toll because of their stupidity.
yeah, it's ignorance. It's that Dunning Kruger peeking its head out again.
Yeah,
If people don't know enough to know how much they don't know,
exactly.
it's just it's bananas. We live in it's like a mirror world
Yeah,
right now.
yeah, it is.
So, how long does this go for?
I mean, I I feel like about an hour is the guideline. I just kind of let
Okay.
it go until it fizzles out.
Yeah,
So yeah,
no, good. Yeah, I like what you've done. I've watched an episode or two of this, and I enjoy the fact that we have one.
yeah,
That we have a podcast. This is pretty cool. It's like you're bringing us into the new age, Jonathan.
yeah. It's
It's pretty
awesome, awesome
fantastic.
stuff. Trying to be a little less scripted than before. So
Yeah,
yeah,
no, I feel that's always good. I think people can tell.
yeah.
I think scripted with a little bit of organizational prowess is good, but reading from a script, I I don't know, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I'd lose my spot all the time.
Yeah.
I'm not organized enough.
You said that your
I
mother had worse. Oh, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off in the middle of your
go on,
sentence.
no,
You
I wasn't saying it.
that she had worse trauma. What did you mean by that?
So the way that my mother grew up, was so just to put into perspective, my family's from Portugal,
Right.
and my mother's second generation here. We She grew up in a really tight knit Portuguese community.
Yeah.
Um, her mother was probably, she grew up partially without electricity.
Yeah.
She didn't have electricity until she was like 17, 18 years old. Back then,
Wow.
my family were they were the I they did crime for a living back then.
Ah.
It wasn't considered, but they did a lot of the gambling. They did it, I had uncles that were doing that were lending money out. We had some people with businesses, but you gotta understand my family came here with 21 kids,
Right.
you know. My grandmother's from 11. My grandfather was from 21.
Huh.
And their families were humongous and they ran the whole gamut. Like some of my uncles were politicians, some of them were lawyers, two of them were doctors, one of them was a scientist. Another one was lived on the street. He was a drug addict and kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I had another uncle who was a vicious child molester. I had another one who
Jesus.
was a preacher.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it ran the full gamut. But my grandparents were just blue collar people. My grandmother, so they had a different way of doing things. So back then, my grandparents were married, but could not stand each other,
Yeah.
and they had a kind of an open marriage. The guys in the neighborhood would go out with the other guys, and they'd go and see their girlfriends,
Yeah.
and the women would stay home with children. And they'd have the children fist fight, and they would gamble on the fist fight. So they'd get drunk, and they'd have the kids fist fight,
Jesus.
and that was Wednesday nights for my parents. I mean, for my mother.
Wait, I'm sorry. So
Oh,
your parents were the kids who were fist fighting?
yeah, no, not my parents. I mean, my mother
Yeah.
would have to fist fight her friends
Yeah.
uh, to as entertainment for the mothers
What
who
the?
would sit and drink on Wednesday nights.
So
So,
when did the fight
um,
end? Like, how bad did they have to get before they're like, okay, fight's
oh, I
over?
don't know. I was never there, but my mother said that it was like first blood. You
Oh,
know,
okay.
so when one kid started bleeding, the other one won.
Okay. Interesting.
How fucked up is that,
That's
right?
pretty fucked up. Yeah,
So,
I'd
so
say
that
so.
was so that was so that was their entertainment, and they would gamble on them to see whose kid would win, and whose other kid was the toughest. I guess that was a good thing. They valued that, I'm sure. Um, my grandmother she was the neighborhood mean lady.
Yeah.
So she was like, if you kicked a ball into her yard, she'd pop it and throw it back over the fence. Like she was that person.
Yeah.
Um, she would yell at the other neighborhood kid. She had like spanked one of the neighborhood kids in front of his mother. Um, if
Like
you were
without
in
the
her yard,
mother wanting them to.
no, not with
Oh,
no, the mother didn't want her to, but my grandmother was a tough old lady.
yeah.
Um, who never thought herself as an old lady, which was hilarious.
Yeah.
She always thought that she was young,
Funny.
and yeah, but she was really, really rigid with her, and I think that she had a lot of manipulative tactics. Um, and I think that she like just physically abused the kids in her house,
Yeah.
my mother and her siblings.
Yeah.
And they all came out with different types of baggage,
Yeah.
and I think one of the things that my mother got solace from when she was little was being a Catholic, and she could escape into this place where God was, and that helped her through.
Yeah.
And she carries that into adulthood as a coping mechanism. It's just things aren't as bad as they seem because God is here with me,
Okay.
and I think that she's one of those people that lean really, really heavy on it. It's kind of an interesting case study because her views suck.
Yeah.
Like they are the worst. Some of them are just horrible. Like whether it be victim shaming or just being mean about people with disabilities or
Jeez. Yeah.
being homophobic or being really, really racist. She's finds solace in that she is doing the right thing because of her faith in God.
Right.
So it's almost like her moral compass kind of depends on God's eating. Like,
Yeah.
so because her by herself is a bad idea.
Yeah. Exactly.
She's just I wouldn't say a bad person, but she has bad ideas,
Yeah.
And I think that a having some type of faith grounds her and it gives her the illusion that she is actually a good person and she's doing the right thing. Look at, I believe in God.
Yeah.
You
Of
know,
course. That's the way it works.
I'm afraid. All right,
When
there,
that's the only
God.
thing
So
someone has
that
to
is
lean
my
on, right?
standard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that ends up becoming the bar as well. So
Yeah.
being racist isn't that big of a deal because God was a little racist. He didn't like people who weren't Jews.
Yeah.
You know, um, God didn't mind if you killed a bunch of Ammonites. That was for his glory.
Yeah.
God starved people, drowned people.
Yeah.
It wasn't that big of a deal. So if my standard is just above that, I can please him. And especially if you kind of, the way that my grandmother ran her household was kind of authoritative, where it was what she said what went. That was what went. That
Yeah.
was what goes, what she said. And my mother has kind of embodied that.
Yeah.
And I think that might be another part of it, is that she just likes to be told what to do, or she has low self-esteem and doesn't think that she can cope without having something like that to ground her. And I don't know if that's the same for a lot of people, because I've heard people tell me that their belief in God is something they hope that something's up there. It's not an actual belief, but it's something that they
Yeah.
wish to
Agnostics
believe is true.
playing Christian because it's easier for the
Yeah.
friend group or something. Yeah.
Yes, 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 yes. And it's also, if you have a community like that, then that's what they're going through they're doing the same exact thing that I was doing between like the ages of 10 and 17,
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
it sucks. It's just your questions don't ever get answered and you just feel like you just live out. I guess this is my life now, kind of
Right.
type of living like that. But yeah, my mother, I think, just leans on that because it's not only easier, it's comfortable to her. You
Yeah.
know, I don't
Interesting.
want to like put her out there. She is an awesome person. Just she has some really bad ideas.
Right.
I'm sure there's a lot of people out there with that. It
Exactly.
just, uh, you know, I wouldn't say that I mean, she knows that murder is wrong. She knows
Oh, at
that,
least we got that far, huh?
yeah. So I guess that would depend on the context because she wasn't really that put off about um
Freddy.
us murdering, but yeah, or any of the people that ICE had murdered.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, she wasn't put off about that. So I guess when it's justified when it's warranted, then that's when it's okay.
Yeah.
It's a righteous killing. It's a godly killing. You
Jeez.
know,
Yeah.
it would
It's
be
funny
the other
because
way around.
the guy who killed that lady and the guy who killed Freddy, I wouldn't consider these people to even be godly people. They don't act that way to
No,
me if I were to peg them a certain way.
no, no, no.
They
They're
they see
just
yeah, they seem like hotheads who just do what they want. I don't know if that's
That's
godly or
kind of
not.
what it is. And they're in a position of authority that they can use to tame their own ego,
Yeah.
and they can, do what they want because they know that they can get away with it. And unfortunately, they got away with it.
Yeah.
You got somebody who got away with killing somebody for nothing,
Yeah.
for nothing,
Exactly.
just a murder in broad daylight, and we did nothing about it.
Yep.
It's that upsets me more than you even know. I mean,
I understand. I'm with you on that one. Yeah.
these were
Actually,
people who,
I I had the opportunity to visit the memorials. I was in Minneapolis.
oh, for real, for
Yeah,
real.
yeah.
How was it?
It was very interesting. They blocked out for especially for Preddy. They blocked out part of the street. And there's just like signs everywhere. Um, there's like a whole section of the crosswalk that's like dedicated to it on for both of them. For the Renee Goodwin, someone tried to burn down part of the fence with the signs with like a bunch of the people who were
Uh,
killed like 10 years ago too. And they like put a phoenix of her, I guess. It was over the
yeah.
burn mark. It was very
Oh,
interesting.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's cool art.
Yeah, they had a lot of cool art going. They had a poetry tree, a poetry.
Oh, a poetry.
Yeah.
That's
It-
clever.
yeah, it was interesting.
I yeah, I often think, right, because there may be a time when, if something like that happened around here, that could be me.
Yeah,
You
it could be
know,
you.
real,
Yeah.
that could be me. That could be me helping up somebody, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could apply that willingly, but
Yeah.
I might have just ran.
Yeah, I don't
But
know. Like, what do you even do in that situation, right? Yeah.
I think I just run. I
Yeah.
think I just run. I don't think I'd stick around for anything, especially if I'm dealing with ice.
Yeah.
Hey, I look ambiguously Spanish, I could be taken as, where are your papers kind of person.
Yeah.
I've been told I look Moroccan too. I don't know really, but but anyways, those are the situations, and this was a person who was doing something selfless. He was helping people
Yeah.
at these protests. He had fire and he was passionate about it, and didn't stand down, and you get this piece of shit that just, you know, got this job to shoot somebody.
Yep. Exactly.
I'm sure.
Motivated reason. Yeah.
I'm sure. Or to at least wield the power or to further the goals of something that I don't want to happen.
Yeah.
That's just it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. It's an unfortunate thing that, we live in this kind of world where something like that is somebody getting murdered in the street is a polarizing issue. It
Yeah.
shouldn't be. You know, everybody should be afraid of that. Everybody should like this could be you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This could be you. You even, I've said some bad things to cops before. I
Yeah.
mean, it's been a really long time since then, and they might not have deserved it, but I was having a bad day and didn't know any better.
Right.
Does that mean I lose my life?
It's
You know what I
crazy.
mean? What kind of country is that?
Yeah.
What kind of country where you have a trigger happy person that you give a gun to? Well, we don't have checks and balances that make sure that these things don't happen. We have an administration that is welcoming this to happen, that actually wants this kind of thing to happen because they talk about it happening. I listened to this podcast about it's about Alex Jones. It's called
Yeah.
Knowledge Fight.
Yeah.
Just give them a plug. Um these two guys go over the Alex Jones show and they talk about it. And you get to kind of see what the other side of this fight like is being fed. And it's just mostly lies. Like a lot of these conservatives don't know that they're doing bad because the things that they hear are kind of talking points to justify the things that they do.
Exactly.
And the things that they want to happen, they just need to have an excuse for it. They just need to have a reason
Sometimes I
why.
feel like they know what they're doing is bad and that they're just looking for reasons. But I mean, obviously there might be some would call him A, some would call him B for different people.
Yeah, but I think that even when you get a group of people where the ends justify the means too.
Yeah.
Where we're doing this to them because they would have done it to us, or we're
And
doing it
they
to them
always
because
say
they.
that, and it's never true. That's why they can justify doing everything because they always pretend like we did it first. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the things with the votes that Trump tries pulling today. Like they know they're gonna cheat. They're gonna cheat with mail-in ballots.
Oh God.
That makes people wanna, or he says that, it's always the bad things are always predicated on some kind of whacked out conspiracy.
Yeah.
Some kind of whacked out conspiracy that the most dangerous people believe because they're just paranoid by nature.
Yeah.
Of course they're gonna believe the Jews are behind stuff. That's
Yeah.
just what somebody paranoid would believe, or somebody with a conspiracy mind is going to believe that, Black Lives Matter is actually arming the illegals that are coming in from Mexico with the fentanyl,
And
it
bringing
just,
vaccines with
so,
them.
right, right. And if you want, so that gets people away from social justice, there's been a few things like that. Like, I saw a billboard on a mortgage company. It said save housing, say no to rent control.
Yeah.
And it like I was talking to somebody about it, and it's almost contrary, the two terms, like save housing, make it so the government can't say we can't charge more for rent. You know what I mean? Like, what do you
Well, I think the
those
idea behind that is like the supply of housing is affected by rent control. I don't necessarily agree with rent control a lot of the time. I feel like it helps the people who already have housing and already have units, and it makes it so that there's no movement. But yeah, but that's a whole nother separate conversation.
Yeah, it would definitely have to be.
Yeah.
No, so we what was I just gonna say? I went to the state house on Tuesday, and
Yeah.
I got to sit through the governor's speech of the Coalition for Reproductive Freedom.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. They're going to be awarding I think it's $600,000 to Planned Parenthood
Yeah.
to help absorb the costs of people coming in from other states.
Yeah.
So they'll be able to offer more free healthcare. And I went to another one, coincidentally, just later on that day,
Yeah.
uh, for the Right to Vote Act, and we were visited by Seth Magazina and
Oh, nice.
Gabe Emo. They
Oh,
both spoke at
Gabe
this
Mo,
event.
my favorite U.S. rep.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I saw him in the debates during the forums in 2023. He was like a
Oh,
Biden
really?
guy who was part of the Biden administration cabinet.
Yep.
The ah God, intergovernmental department, something like that. No, he seemed nice.
Yeah, he seems like he's a really good talker.
Yeah,
I guess. I mean, not in a bad way. I'm not saying he's like full of shit or anything. He just seems like he's a good orator.
yeah.
I will say he knows how to talk. He's got a really good rhythm. Um, Seth Magazino reminds me of a good friend of mine.
Oh yeah,
Um, yeah, from like childhood though. But yeah, there was. I couldn't believe the support that it had. Um,
that's
of
awesome.
course, Greg Amore was there. So this Right to Vote Act is going to codify the 1965 Voting Rights Act that was pushed by Congress back in 1965
Yeah.
that ended the segregation laws, and
Oh nice.
ended voter intimidation, ended poll taxes, ended just barriers to voting. In a democracy, we want more people to vote, not less.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not going to give people who already don't have the right to vote the right to vote. Like it's not an expansion. It's a it's a codification of rights that we already have.
Yeah.
It's just so no matter what happens on the federal level, to say if Trump wants to start, if
Getting rid of
his
people's right to vote.
Save
He's
America
absolutely.
Act,
I can see it.
yeah, well, this Save America Act,
Oh yeah,
that Congress was
he's trying to
gonna
take
put
over the
in would,
states' rights to run their elections, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, yes. This would make it so that wouldn't be possible.
Yeah.
So, but it's something, and you know something? It doesn't have complete support in our Congress,
Yeah.
in our state Congress. It doesn't. I'm sure people like Representative Chippendale would
Oh my God.
they
I
just
hate that
out
guy.
fight.
Do you know that guy
Oh, I
blocked me?
can't stand him. Oh, really?
Yeah, he blocked me.
He
I,
hasn't.
I only
He
remember.
hasn't blocked you yet.
I'm trying to remember what our last argument was about. It might have been the Preddy killing, or it might have been something like that. I can't remember though
Oh,
off the top of my
really?
head.
Really?
Where he was.
He blocked me a while back.
Yeah.
Go on. I'm sorry.
No, I can't remember. So you go on.
No, he's so yeah. We've always had problems with
He's
him.
the worst person in the world. I swear to
Yeah,
God.
he gets he. I
The way
just
he
saw him.
argues. Oh, I remember now. Ryan was actually arguing with him. I don't know if Ryan's still in chat. And he was arguing with him. I guess it was about the the when the Democratic Congress people made the video saying you don't have to follow illegal orders.
I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember that. And then Trump wanted to take him to court for that. He did take him to court for that.
yeah, but
He did take him. Yeah, he had the Justice Department go after them for making
and
that
they
video.
lost. They lost. They failed that case, if I remember right.
Yes, yes.
So I would think so. And so Chippendale was arguing with Ryan, and I think it was that Ryan called them senators. And then Chippendale got so smug. Oh, actually, they were representatives, so you don't know anything about what you're talking about. You should shut up. And then I pointed out, actually, one of them was a senator, and especially the particular person you were talking about. So it looks like you're talking out your ass and don't know anything. And then he blocked me.
Yeah.
He is such a loser. The way he argues is so slimy, and he is like the most fragile person. And when he knows he's losing, he will leave. He will make it so that you don't talk to him ever again.
Yeah.
He's not a very strong individual, I would say.
No, he takes his ball and goes home.
Yeah.
He doesn't. He doesn't feel like playing if he can't win.
We should bring him on this show.
Do you know something? If you're open to having him,
Oh, I would.
oh yeah,
I would absolutely do that because it doesn't seem like he would do very well from the way he does his arguments.
No, he wouldn't show up. He would. I'd be surprised because when I've heard him talk in chambers, he doesn't sound like a douchebag.
Yeah.
You know,
it's the Ethernet cable that does it to him, huh?
Yeah. It's the So when me and Terry we got a citation last year, a resolution. I'm sorry, not a citation. A resolution in the House from Representative Stewart for the Day of Reason.
Yeah.
And he walked out. He got up and walked out.
Yeah.
And then wrote this shit post about us.
That was how. Yeah. And then I responded to that. That was my first interaction with the guy.
Yeah. So I can see his stuff. I can't comment on it.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. He'll erase it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Jonathan, I've got something to do at 12:30. I will.
Yeah, it's a good time to wrap up, I guess.
I appreciate you having me.
Yeah,
I appreciate the work that you do.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm here. Even though I stayed up way too late last night, I am here. I'm good. I'm putting in the time.
It, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate the time you put in. You're definitely one of the people we lean on. I appreciate you so much.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Brandon.
I'm gonna promote the Day of Reason again. It's May 6th at 2:00 in the library at the Rhode Island State House.
The Rhode Island State House Library?
Yes.
And it's 2 p.m., not noon. For some reason, I thought it was noon. I don't know why.
No. So you can be there for noon.
I mean, you will be early. You won't be late.
Yeah, you won't be late. No, you're making me doubt it now. No, it's 2 p.m.
I mean, in my calendar it was 3, but that was probably a placeholder.
Yeah.
Go there for 2, guys. Assume it's 2. Go to the actually. I have the Facebook thing up for it right now. Why not? Oh, it does say 3. It does say 3 p.m.
It is. Damn it, Brian.
Maybe you wanted to make sure you got there early.
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep 2 in my head.
Yeah, that works.
I'm gonna I was actually early to the state house the other day because they said 2 o'clock.
Yeah,
I was there at 2 o'clock. It didn't start until 3.
yeah.
And I was actually early to the other one too. Is this a pattern where people tell me things are an hour before they are, just to make sure I show up on time?
I mean,
I'm,
my track team would do that.
I was saying yes.
Yeah.
I would, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. All right, I'm gonna, I'm gonna wrap up, Jonathan. It was
All right.
great talking to you.
Yeah,
And 3 o'clock, Rhode Island State House Library, May 6th.
be there, be square. All right. See you,
Be there,
Brian.
be clear. Bye.
All right, and that was Brian. I hit the wrong button. Now we're in the right spot. All right, I'm just going to go over some dates. Tuesday, April 14th, 2026, April monthly meeting in Warwick. Go there. Go to our Facebook page. Oh my God, Sam and Sterling and Mike are in this picture. That's funny. We went to the handing out sandwiches to the homeless thing. Yeah. But anyway, Warwick Public Library. It's there. It's public. Just go there. All right. They have speakers. And then May 16th, we have a Rhode Island Atheist annual spring party. Oh, Mary's in this picture. That's funny. Annual spring picture. Spring picture? Jesus Christ, I am tired. Party. Spring party. All right. While I am an atheist, these religious holidays are also basically the times I go to see my family. So despite me not believing in a magical bunny that brought Jesus eggs and chocolate to all the children of the world during the crucifixion, or whatever the fuck the story is, I know the story, I'm being cute. I am going to go see them despite the fact that after dinner at 1 p.m., I'm probably just going to take a fucking nap, which because I do not have the sleep that I need. All right. Fucking Arc Raiders, man. Bye. Let me rain out to someone. Fucking don't. Uh huh. Uh-huh. Who the fuck? Pocopia. Here, have some crystal. This lady plays Pocopia, okay? Eat it up. You can go watch her.